fast car.
Hello and welcome to the Frontier Motor Show. My name is Iven Streckel, owner of Frontier Motors, and we are coming to you live at the Cowork Annex in Downtown Pensacola on Palafox Street. Thank you for tuning in. For the next half hour, we're going to talk about cars a little bit, what's going on in our industry, in our neck of the woods, and also nationwide, and what we do at Frontier Motors that sets us apart from the other over 120 dealers in the Pensacola area. First thing we talk about a little bit when we go on the show is the fact that what's happening in the auto industry right now. And one of the things that we talked about a couple of months ago was that the Ram pickup truck, for the first time ever, for the first 5 months of 2019, is beating the Chevy Silverado. First time ever. They've had a 22% increase in Ram sales over the year before, catapulting them to the second leading truck sold in the United States. And if you don't know what the first one is, it's always been for years and years the F-150. Matter of fact, it's not only the F-150 the number one selling truck, it's also the number one selling vehicle, outselling all other cars singly. And with almost 1 million sales every year, the F-150 is phenomenal. But it's always been Chevrolet number 2 and Ram number 3, and that's kind of flipped over. So this is the first time it's happening ever. And I'm sure Chevy doesn't like it. Matter of fact, Chevrolet says it plans to ramp up sales to commercial and fleet customers to get some of those lost sales back. But I don't think that Ram is going to let off the gas at all. Ram is an excellent truck. And I'll tell you what, when we started Frontier Motors 23 years ago, a Ram truck was not a good selling truck. I don't know if you remember back in the 90s, they had a lot of transmission problems, but you know, things do end and things get better. And the Ram truck now is off to a great start. Subaru is hot. As a matter of fact, Subaru marked in May, it marked the 90th consecutive year-over-year monthly sales gain for Subaru. 90 months in a row, it's sold more cars every single month than the month before. And on top of all that, one of the reasons they probably did that is because Consumer Reports just came out with how the brands stack up. They do this every year. And last year, the number one brand was Genesis. And this year, the number one brand is Subaru. It always helps to be able to put that in your advertising, that Consumer Report says that Subaru is better than every other manufacturer on the face of the earth, according to them. We'll get into that in a little bit. So those are the couple of things that are happening. Also, one other thing that is kind of interesting is that BMW is announcing that by 2023, they are going to have 25 electrified vehicles, and half of those are going to be completely electric by 2023. Now that's just around the corner. I can't figure out what's going on with these electric vehicles myself. I sell cars for a living, and we sell pretty many. We sell between 200 and 250 cars a month, and I have yet to have anybody walk in and ask for an i3. If you don't know what an i3 is, that's BMW's first all-electric vehicle. It is sold right here in the States, not just worldwide. So far worldwide, they've sold 150,000 units. I have yet to have anyone ask for one. And until I have people ask for an electric vehicle, I'm going to be hard pressed to put them in stock. We've had a couple of Teslas, and even the Teslas that we've had, which have been thousands and thousands of dollars less than a brand new one, did not fly off the shelf because people still have what we call range anxiety. And range anxiety is the fact that you can only go a certain amount of miles before the battery is drained. And a matter of fact, a Tesla, because I did not have a fast charging port in my garage, I just had a 110 outlet. If you plug your Tesla in at 110, it charges 5 miles per hour. So in 10 hours, all you're doing is charging 50 miles. So if you leave the thing plugged in for the whole weekend, you're only gaining 150 miles. So if you're almost on zero, it doesn't work. Now, the fast charging station will almost double that. But still, if you're on the road and you're taking a road trip, and let's say you want to cruise somewhere with your Tesla, and if your range is 300 miles, well, after 300 miles, it's going to take 6 to 7 hours to charge that vehicle. Well, what if you're not done driving? So I think that range anxiety is still a big deal. The Jaguar came out with an electric SUV, and their range is around 350 miles. But again, they're selling, but not enough for a used car dealer like Frontier Motors to put them in stock. So for BMW to announce that 25 of their models are going to be electrified within 3 years is way over my head. I can't imagine that's going to happen. As a matter of fact, other manufacturers are. Now, this might be a big deal worldwide because there are some towns in Europe now that are going to within the next 5 years, not even allow gasoline models driving through their town. And perhaps that's why they're going more to an electric or / hybrid. I can see the hybrid because that means you can drive on electricity for a certain amount of range, like the Chevy Volt, for example. That the Chevy Volt was going up to 50 miles on electric, and then it would flip over to gas. So that's not a problem. So if the electric is over with, you don't have to worry about charging it. You just go over to gas. And it was so successful that a couple of months ago, they decided to cancel the Chevy Volt. So if that doesn't work, and all these other manufacturers are coming out with electrics way over my head, especially when you have gasoline-powered motors that can get between 40 and 45 miles per gallon, like the Toyota Corolla. The Toyota Corolla is rated at 40 miles a gallon without having to plug it in. That's pretty darn good gas mileage. Matter of fact, I have a Honda motorcycle. My motorcycle only gets 38 miles a gallon. And here you can buy a Corolla that gets 40 miles a gallon. And the emissions are very, very low. The other thing that they're announcing on Automotive News is that the average age of a vehicle in the United States just went up to 11.8 years. Let's just round that off to 12 years. The average age of a vehicle on the road is 12 years old. That is incredible. I got in the car business in 1975, and the average age of a vehicle on the road back then was 7 years. Now, what's the difference? The difference is the cars are better than they used to be. They last longer, the motors are better, they get better gas mileage, there's less maintenance. Remember when you had to change plugs every 10,000 miles? Well, now you put new spark plugs in at 100,000 miles. When you had to change oil every 1,000 miles, now if you use synthetic, you change it every 10,000 miles. So there's less maintenance and the cars are lasting longer. And also with rust, for example, cars wouldn't be unusual. When I lived in Wisconsin, where a car started rusting within 2 to 3 years. Matter of fact, we sold rust proofing to almost every customer that walked in. And now they don't do that anymore because the cars are, the materials they're using in the metal is much better, and some of them use plastic and titanium. And so you don't have that rusting situation like you had years before. So it's very interesting. And that means that the average person hasn't bought a car in 12 years. Now that leads us back to Frontier Motors. So if you don't know how to buy a car, why not go to a car dealer that will show you how to get a good deal on the car, even if you're not buying it from them. So let's say that you're thinking about buying a brand new car. Why would you go to Frontier Motors? We are a used car dealership in Pensacola. Well, the reason you go to Frontier Motors is, number one, we have the Consumers Reports invoice on every car. Matter of fact, on the back of Consumers Reports, they sell invoices for $15. And the reason they tell you to buy an invoice is because if you know what the dealer paid for a brand new car, you can make sure that you get a good deal and not pay too much. So that's one reason. I can provide those invoices for free to anyone. We have the new car cost guides that show me the retail price and the dealer cost of every car. So we'll share that information with you, no charge. The other thing we can help you with is, if you decide to buy a brand new car, is what is your car supposed to be appraised for? In other words, let's say you get a really good deal on a car, you got your $2,000 rebate, the dealer knocking off $1,000 off the car, and you're happy with the new car deal. You've done some research. You've been on the internet. You've gone to Atlanta and all the other metro markets and have talked with salespeople online, and they've given you their deal on the car. So you pretty much know what the good deal is. And of course, we always urge you to buy in town. So if you're looking at a Toyota, for example, you go to Bob Tyler over here in town. You might want to get your price out of town, but you take that price to the local dealer and you have them match that price, and then you toss them the keys for your trade-in. And you say, now that I've got a good deal on the car, give me a fair deal on my trade-in, and they'll come back and they'll give you a trade-in value after the discount, not off the list price, but after the discount, after the rebates. So you want to try to keep that transaction separate so you know exactly what you're getting for your trade-in. Well, that's where Frontier Motors can give you a free second opinion. It takes 15 minutes max. And wouldn't that be a good 15 minutes for you to have a second appraisal in your back pocket, that if you go to the new car dealer of your choice, and in Pensacola, there's 21 new car dealers. I think if you count the 3 or 4 that are over in the Milton area, there's about 25 new car dealers. So you pick out the dealer you like, you pick out the car that you like, and you make your best deal, and then you have an opinion of your trade-in in your back pocket. Within 15 minutes, I can tell you, well, we'll pay you for that car, and if we, for whatever reason, you don't want to sell us that car, what the trade-in value should be, and we also tell you how we come up with that figure. So it's not just a figure we're making up to queer their deal. What we'll do, unless we already have 5 or 6 of these cars on the lot, like the one you're trading, is we'll give you a buy figure. And the dealer a lot of times will talk you into trading a car because you can save taxes. Now, if you don't know what I mean by that, let me just give you an example on how you can save money by trading a car in, and why some dealers will talk you into trading the car in, even if they give you less money because you save money in taxes. But at Frontier Motors, we tell you can have the best of both worlds. So let's just say hypothetically, you decided you're going to buy a $20,000 Nissan Kick. I'll use that because most people don't know what a Nissan Kick is. Well, that is their new small SUV. It's like a little cool car for the kids. They call it a Nissan Kick. You might have seen some of the commercials. Well, that's about a $20,000 car if you go with a base model car. Let's say you've got an F-150 you're trading in. It happens to be worth $20,000. Do you know what your tax liability is? It's zero. Because if you trade in a $20,000 car, you get a tax credit, so you don't have to pay any taxes. Now, if you sold that car yourself and you went and bought that $20,000 Nissan Kick, your tax liability is around $1,500. So sometimes a dealer can convince you to take less money because he saved money in taxes. But why not get the best of both worlds? What if I pay you $21,000 for that truck? The dealer's going to say, well, you're losing the tax credit. Well, no, you're not. You can still trade it at the dealer, and I'll buy it right from the dealer for $21,000. And I don't know of any dealer that wouldn't do that to earn a sale, especially if you make it a stipulation of the sale. I'll tell you what, Mr. Dealer, I'm going to buy your car, but Frontier Motors is offering more money. And you know what a lot of times happens? 50% of the time, I never end up with the vehicle because the used car appraiser reappraises the vehicle for what I've put into it. And sometimes they have that attitude, well, if Frontier Motors is going to pay $21,000, it must be worth $21,000, even though they're not. There's a lot of times why you get a low appraisal. And it's not because the dealer is trying to rip you off, even though that could be the case. But a lot of times it's because that used car manager's appraisal is his opinion. Well, what if he doesn't have a good opinion of your car? What if he doesn't like the type of car you had? What if he's had a bad experience with the type of car that you're trading in? This happened years ago at a Lexus dealership, and I'm not going to say it was the one over here in Mobile, even though it's the closest one, but it was at a Lexus dealership, and they were trading an ES350 in. I had given the appraisal. They watched the show. They came in for the appraisal. I don't remember the exact figure. Let's just say it was $20,000. They went to the Lexus dealership, and they got an appraisal of $17,000. I remember it was a $3,000 difference over what I gave them. And I thought, well, am I paying too much? And I redid my research to make sure I wasn't paying too much. They were not paying enough. And the reason was because they had almost 15 of those ES350s on the lot. And half of those were aged inventory. In other words, there was a lot of pressure on that used car manager to get rid of those ES350s they had on the lot. And here you come in with another one. He wasn't interested in the vehicle at all, so he got a low appraisal. The other reason might be, and this is one reason that you'll never hear this from any dealer, that maybe they don't have the money. And there's a lot of dealerships that have a certain amount of what they either call floor plan or total dollar amount of inventory that they will, and let's say it's a bigger dealer, and let's say they have a $3 million used car inventory, which is about average, a $3 million used car inventory. But let's say they're already at $3.5 million, and now you come in with a $20,000 vehicle. They might just not have the money to buy your vehicle. Now, they're not going to tell you that because they want to sell the new car. So what they do is they call a wholesaler and they get an appraisal from someone that doesn't work at the dealership. Well, their job is to get that vehicle for the least amount possible because they're going to take it to the auction and sell it to another dealer. So therefore, you get a low appraisal. And some of the reasons might be they just don't like your vehicle. An example would be if you have an F-350 diesel dually and you want to buy a Jaguar, do you think that Jaguar dealer is really excited about your diesel dually? I don't think so. Or you're going to buy an Infiniti or a Lexus. They don't sell F-350s on the used car lot at a Lexus dealership. So you're going to get a lower appraisal. At Frontier Motors, we sell every make and model, including some electric cars. I told you we had some Teslas and some hybrids. We don't do a big business, but we sell every make and model. So we're not prejudiced against any make and model. We'll buy the F-350 diesel. We'll buy the 150. We'll buy the regular cab, the long bed. It doesn't matter if it's two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. We'll buy the sports car. We'll buy just about anything. That leads me to another segment that we do buy cars. And when we sell, I mentioned earlier that we sell between 200 and 250 cars a month. Well, when you sell those many cars a month, guess what you have to do? You've got to buy that many a month. Now, we do get some cars in trade-in, but only about 25 to 35% of the people have a trade-in. Some people have bought a car because theirs is expired. It just doesn't run anymore. It's junk. Some people have sold it themselves. Some people have handed down to a family relative or have sold it to someone at work, and they're in the market for a car without a trade-in. So even if we get 35 to 40 cars a month in trade-in, that leaves me almost with 200 cars short. And if you've got a vehicle that you need to sell, if when you go on Craigslist to try to sell it, the first 3 paragraphs of Craigslist is what to be careful of about scams. And you read and you hear this every once in a while where somebody, went to a parking lot and they try to do a transaction, the guy jumps in the car and takes off, or the check's no good, or they want you to finance it, they want you to give a warranty, they make you ridiculous offers, they want you to take a trade-in. Well, Frontier Motors, you drive in, within 15 minutes, you can have a check. We make it so easy for you to be able to sell your car, and you'll be pleasantly surprised that we give you fair market value. We don't try to steal the car, and we show you how we come up with the vehicle's value. And normally when you come in and you have a vehicle that you're selling, and it's not a vehicle you have to drive, we can also do a consignment. Now, the advantage of consignment is we'll pay you more money because we don't have to tie up our cash. So that just makes sense. So if you've got a vehicle that I'll buy it for $20,000, I might be able to consign that vehicle for $21,000 or $21,500. The disadvantage of consignment is you don't get paid until we sell the vehicle. But if you've got another vehicle to drive, or you're going from a 2-car family down to 1-car family, or you're taking an Uber to work, or you're driving your bicycle to work, and you're doing the Dave Ramsey thing, and you're liquidating, want to get rid of that loan, you bring the vehicle for us, we put it on consignment, we sell it for you. We don't charge a commission. If I tell you I'm going to net you $21,000, anything over 21 is mine. So if I sell it for 22, I still make $1,000, and you still get more than wholesale, if wholesale was $20,000, as an example. So we do a very good consignment business. And people always ask me, well, how long does it take to sell a car? The average length of time is about 40 days that we rotate our inventory. Rotates pretty fast when we're selling between 50 and 60 cars every week. The cars are flying in, they're getting detailed, they're put on the lot, and they're flying out of there. So that's one of the things that we can help you with. So a little, we talked about a little what's going on in the car industry, a little bit about Frontier Motors. One of the things that we always talk a little bit about is what we do different at Frontier Motors. And one of the best spokesmen that we have at Frontier Motors is one of our friends, Dave Ramsey. And let me tell you what Dave Ramsey says about Frontier.
Hey, Dave Ramsey here. When you need a quality pre-owned vehicle, I'm happy to be recommending a dealer that still does it the old-fashioned way, where relationship is formed from face-to-face contact, where a handshake still means something. For 22 years, my friends at Frontier Motors have been helping the Pensacola community with their transportation needs, but they do so much more. They are the go-to dealer for free advice, free appraisals, free Carfax reports, and free total loss and diminished value reports. Any car buying questions, see Frontier Motors. 70% of their customers are repeat or referrals. It's unheard of in the used car industry. I'm talking no pushy salesman, no pressure selling, always an out-the-door price in writing, and no mausoleum, high overhead showroom. Just 400 of the nicest used cars you'll ever see. Check out Frontier Motors, and don't forget to tell them Dave Ramsey sent you.
Dave does a really good job talking in 60 seconds, what it takes me a half an hour to do here on the radio show. And it's interesting because I just brought up one of our Facebook page for Frontier Motors, and there's a lady named Debbie that did an endorsement, and the first sentence says it all. Dave Ramsey's endorsement of Frontier Motors has brought us in to the dealership. Their excellent customer service and high quality vehicles will bring us back. After dealing with the normal mantra of car dealerships, I began researching Frontier Motors because of Dave Ramsey. I was pleasantly surprised at the amount of choices they had available, which, by the way, is approximately 400 cars in inventory. That's a lot of vehicles to have on one lot. Anyways, she writes a whole 2 paragraphs about how she was wowed that we weren't like a normal car dealership. Now, the only way that you're going to know that, other than listening to me and trusting me, is to come in and take a look at our cars. One of the things that we talked about, like Dave Ramsey said, that we really pride ourselves in doing is making sure that when you pick out a car, your next question is always going to be the negotiating. Well, how do I do this? How do I get a good deal? Well, what we've learned at Frontier Motors is the best way to do this is not do a lot of back and forth, is let the customer know, here's the book value, here's what we're asking, Here's our bottom line price in writing. In other words, discounting the car if we can. We're not a one price selling dealership, which means like, for example, a Sonic dealership or CarMax, for example, they have one price selling. So if their car is listed at $21,555, guess what that car is going to run? It's not going to be $21,000 even. It's going to be $21,555 because that's their whole claim to fame, that you don't have to deal. Now, you never know if that's a good deal or if it's a bad deal. And most customers want to get some type of a deal, which we've learned. And what we do is I don't mark the cars up a whole bunch so I can discount them. What we do is we market them a fair price value. Then we give an internet price, which of course we offer to everybody, whether you go on the internet or not. And then we'll let you know if there's any more room in the negotiation. Sometimes, especially if you have a trade-in, there might be a little bit of negotiating room if you've got a nice car to trade, that we can make some money on the car that you're trading. So we'll take that in consideration when we give you the out-the-door price. But no games. A total out-the-door price, which includes the taxes, the dock fee, the license plate transfer, the title fee, everything will be included in the figure. And the reason we do this is because we challenge you to take our price to another dealer. Now, who would do that? Who would tell you to go shopping? Well, we tell you to go shopping because we're confident in the vehicle that we're presenting to you and also in the price that we're presenting you, that we're going to have the best deal. The best deal is not necessarily always the lowest price. It might be in combination with a very good price with the best vehicle out there as far as equipment, mileage, color, and the most important thing that you don't see on pictures on the internet is condition, condition, condition. You know, in the realty, it's always location, location, location. Well, in the car business, it's the condition of the car that will make or break the sale. Have you ever had a car that you've opened the door and you've closed it and walked away, and the reason you did that is because the car smelled on the inside? I've had a lot of people do that, so we make sure that when we buy a car, we give it the sniff test. All of our buyers, none of our buyers smoke, as an example. And we also make sure that the cars don't smell on the inside before we buy them. We don't want to have to go through the process of extracting smell from a car. And the other thing that we do is we make sure that we run a history report on every car. Not just one history report, like Carfax, for example. We also run the auto check. Every once in a while, you find something that's bad on one and you won't see it on the other. So we run 2 history reports. And on top of that, we don't buy cars electronically. We have buyers that go to the auctions that pick out only the best. The auction rates the cars from 0 to 5. Don't ask me why I don't rate them from 0 to 10. But they rate them from 0 to 5, 5 being perfect. If the vehicle is not at least a 4.5 or above, we don't even look at them. A lot of dealerships will buy a car that's rated a 2 or 3 on purpose. Why would they buy a car that's below average condition? Because it's cheaper. And they want to have that billboard, they want to have that advertised price out there that they've got the best deal in town. Well, the best deal is not the best price. The best deal is the best vehicle for the money. What if, for example, we had a vehicle that is apples to apples with the competition? Even the price is the same, the color is the same, the miles is the same, but you run the original window sticker and you find out that we have $3,000 more equipment on our car. And let's just say hypothetically, our car was $500 more than the competition. Wouldn't ours be the better deal? Especially if that $3,000 worth of equipment was safety equipment. And when we talk about safety equipment, what about things like adaptive cruise control? That's a cruise control that you can set where if the person in front of you jams on their brake, you automatically hit the brakes, whether you're texting or not, which, by the way, you're not going to be able to do legally anymore, starting today, from what I heard, is that you can't text and drive. But these safety features are real important. And if the vehicle's price is the same, even a little bit more, but it has a better safety rating and safety features like automatic emergency braking, that's without even setting the cruise control. If you're not paying attention, the car in front of you hits the brakes, your car will hit the brakes. It could save your life. And if you can get that, that could be a $3,000 option, which you can get perhaps at no charge when you buy the car at Frontier Motors. So anyways, what we do is we set you on your way. Some people that have been buying cars from us for years and years, they just come in and they'll say, okay, we'll take it. Very simple. There's none of this back and forth. They've already done the research. Everybody's got their phone. They're already plugging in Auto Trader and Cars.com. We do the same thing. When we buy a car, I do a cross-section of what's being sold within 150 miles to 500 miles, depending on the car. If it's a Tesla, I go 500 miles because there's not a lot of them available. But let's just say it's a Toyota Corolla. I want to make sure that I know every Toyota Corolla for sale in our area so I can be competitive and I can beat the other person's deal. And that way I can show you that information. Say, here, you don't have to go shop. I can show you I've got the lowest mileage one with the most equipment for the best price. And a lot of times it comes down to color too. What if you don't like the color? I have so many people come in, especially the younger kids, they won't compromise. They'll come in and say, I don't want a black one. I don't want a white one. I don't want a blue one. So they walk out because of the color. At Frontier Motors, we have a great locate program where we will replace the vehicle that we have if you don't like the color. We try to do that within a week to 10 days maximum. And a lot of people wait because they want to get the car from us because they know we only deal in quality cars. So we talked about some of the emergency stuff right now, and I think a lot of people don't put enough emphasis on emergency. They put emphasis on heated seats and heated steering wheel and air-conditioned seats and electric start, but they never ask about the safety features like blind spot and pedestrian detection. Those things to me are the most important thing when you're buying a car. And I'm happy to report there are some people out there that are upgrading their cars even though they don't need to, just because of the safety features. Unfortunately, I don't think there's enough of them. By the way, we've only got about 2 minutes left. Facebook, we're on Facebook, and we're also on YouTube, and you can actually stream this on YouTube as we speak and ask questions if you wanted to get on YouTube and ask Frontier Motors a question. And if you have anybody that's going to be in the car buying mode in the next 2 or 3 months or whatever, tell them to go on YouTube and look up Frontier Motors. They can watch any of these shows at no charge. Same thing with our Frontier Motors website. We've got some of the shows on the website. The Dave Ramsey endorsement, of course, is great for us. Dave Ramsey only endorses one dealer in a metro area, and he chose us. We didn't call him up and say, hey, Dave, can you do a commercial for us? He chose us with the Better Business Bureau and only an independent dealer because he does not endorse new car dealers because of the huge depreciation that happens when you drive off the lot. He's all about saving you money, and he knows that Consumer Reports last year finally put in writing what I've been talking about for years, that the average car depreciates $9,200 in the first year. Can you imagine that? $9,200 in the first year alone. Why does anybody buy a new car? Can't figure that out. We've also got a great website. So if you Google Frontier Motors, we're the first Frontier Motors that pops up. There's about 5 of them in the nation. Almost 400 cars in inventory. They've got 30 detailed photographs. The price is right on the website. The only one that might not have a price is if we just bought the car and the car is on its way in. But other than that, everyone's going to have a price. Everyone's going to have pictures. And don't forget, we are the dealer to go to for free advice. Do not be embarrassed to call us up and say, hey, I'm buying a car from my neighbor. Can you tell me what to pay? I'm buying a car from another car dealership. This is what they're asking for. Or what would you sell me a car like that for? And sometimes by having 400 vehicles in inventory, you might get lucky. We'll have exactly that same car on the lot. And we can use ours as an example of what you should pay. So if you're looking at a 2017 Chevy Impala that your neighbor's selling for $22,000, and I've got a 17 on the lot with the same miles on it, with a clean history report for $3,000 less, that doesn't mean you have to drop what you're doing and run into us. That means you call your neighbor up and say, hey, Frontier Motors got one of these. Drop your price, so I'm going to buy it from them. And again, that's the thing that we do differently at Frontier Motors. I'm sorry it took me 30 minutes to tell you that. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.
The right price, Frontier will treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.